Hi guys, welcome back to another quick card pull. This is filmed on Thursday, August the 27th, 2026. Today we're pulling from the Wild Unknown Tarot cards. So we're starting with the Emperor. Funny enough, tomorrow is a partial lunar eclipse. I would not make moon water in this. I'll be 100%. I would not make moon water in this. I would just make your moon water for today. The lunar eclipse, I would just leave that alone. You know what I mean? Like, you know when it rains and everything like that, it's supposed to rain here. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it or not. You never know. The moon is very powerful. But I would not. But I love the fact that they're showing with the Emperor, I feel like growth. You know what I mean? I feel like we've probably been in a lot of shadow, especially this eclipse season, as we're seeing here. It kind of looks like a heart here. But it's like you made it through it. You know what I mean? And one valuable lesson for me is just like, just because this happens does not mean it's going to look like this in a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. You know what I mean? And I am so thankful to God for allowing my dad to come through and be just like this day. And it was Sunday and it was before Sunday. I was just incredibly grateful that things turned around. The power of prayer, the power of unconditional love, the power of never giving up, and now we're faced with another challenge and it's the same thing. It's just, you know what I mean? I would never wish the journey that we were on with Shane's untimely death happening. You know what I mean? It's one thing to be absent from someone's life, but they're there. It's another to be transformed, and it's just like, when you want to hug and stuff, you know what I mean? I'm sure it aches just the same, because it's just like you want to hug or advice, and, they're absent and, by choice. But, you know what I mean? I don't wish it on anybody, but there is growth coming here. Things are changing. Things are transforming. So, you know what I mean? Never, especially if you're a spiritual person and you live by prayer, like, we do Thankful Thursdays today. You know what I mean? It's just like, never overlook that. You know what I mean? If in your belief system, if it's Sundays, it's Fridays, whenever that day of the week is, if it's every day, never overlook that power. I love the Hermit, and I feel like, when they say in the Bible, put the lantern, because the lantern's on top of the turtle. And we got that walnut card where they were showing like balance, like things leaving, things coming in, like the strength of a walnut. But they were like, put the lamp on top of the nightstand so it illuminates the room. Don't put it under your bed. Don't put it under the nightstand. Put it so it illuminates. And I feel like you are being used to illuminate the light. I feel like this is very much where they were like, embrace your power. You know what I mean? Embrace your abilities, embrace your gifts. And a lot of us are like, we do these things not because we want, trophies and accolades and da-da-da-da-da. We do this because that's what our heart is called to do. We've been, unfortunately, in vulnerable situations, and it's just like, we too ache and hurt and go through life's challenges. You know what I mean? But we still are there. I notice that I go through, before retrograde or anything happens, before it happens, so I could be there for others. It's like, my friends going through this, or acquaintance, or, you know what I mean? It's just like, doing readings or whatnot. It's just like, because people are aching, and it's like, we need you to be that force. And I feel like that's what it's saying, illuminating the light. You are the light, So again, it's like embracing your power. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, there for others. And I feel like, being like a footstool, like they said. But I feel like it's, I don't feel like so much hiding. I just feel like, you know what I mean? I definitely am looking forward to the hibernation season. I am not going to give myself a hard time at all. I am absolutely done. It's been a very eventful spring and summer, to say the least. Nine of Pentacles, I love, rebirth in our life. Protection, I feel like with the feathers, guardian angels protecting you at this time. Rebirth happening tomorrow. You know what I mean? A lot of people are signifying this weekend, especially after the eclipse ends. As this cornucopia season comes upon us. I love watching, like, if you follow the Torah or not, it does say, like, every 7 years you take a break, and you know what I mean? And it's been very weird for me because, I'm going through perimenopause, and you know what I mean? I'm breaking out in, like, hot flashes and stuff like that. And I'm trying to combat that naturally. And it's just like, it was a hot summer, but, we would have planted and everything. I would have made my way through it, just an hour out there. And You know what I mean? But I definitely missed gardening. Like it's definitely my one of my favorite things to do during the summer. And also hiking and going to the beach and all that good stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's why they're saying they're protecting you during this rebirth. You know, your guardian angels, archangels, be open to channel messages. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of us are getting a lot of potent messages lately, and it's like, write them all down. Even if they don't make sense to you right now, write them down. I know that I'll sit there and I'll see readings or I'll read channel messages. I'm like, oh my gosh, they actually did tell me this. You know, I just haven't read it since then. This one wasn't meant to be pulled, but I'm going to keep it anyway, just in case. But I feel like Page of Pentacle, hanging on to something so tightly, afraid of losing it. I feel like a lot of us are like that. You know, I was just, kikiing with my sister, and, we were, what I feel, 555, she feels, you know what I mean? There's some sort of comfort in that, knowing that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't wish that on her, and just an opportunity to share what Chris from the SIP with Rylan and Lizzie Gordon, and Rylan was, and I love the fact he asked him that, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, all of us are going through some sort of, poop. And, Chris had shared that, Rylan had inquired, like, what did you learn in therapy? And, you know what I mean? Chris was so beautiful to share, you know what I mean? That his therapist was, like, teaching him not to future trip. And that's where we're thinking for years down the road. And it's robbing us of our peace. And his therapist was like, just, think about this week. Sometimes even the whole week is a little too much. It's just like, even if you have to take it down to the day, whatever resonates with yourself, it's just like, you know what, let that be that day's problem, let that be that week's problem, that month's problem, that year's problem. We keep robbing ourselves of peace, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's like, find peace wherever you can, you know what I mean? What do we say? I attract peace, I attract stability, we attract, mentally, physically, spiritually, wellness, you know what I mean, with no harm to none, all the things you want to attract in life, and believe in it and put it into action. So it's like you find yourself thinking, we're not doing that. We're not going to, I'm not going to rob myself of my peace. And that's what it's, self-love, pouring to your own cup. Universe is telling you, stop. You know what I mean? Life isn't always about chasing your tail. Life isn't always about making the bag. You got to put your feet up and rest and rejuvenate. You got to do things that make you happy. You got to bring in happiness into your life. Yeah, life can be chaotic. That's what I'm saying. I cannot wait for the hibernation season. That is exactly what I'm going to do. The Magician, what you need going forward. So like this portal energy, this new era. Aya Wisdom said that we had to go through this purge. I feel like it'll happen after Pluto goes direct. I think it's the 15th to the 25th is when that time period is. I hope there's no hangover energy with this, but I think it is. It's going to be like 3 weeks time of so you know what I mean? It's like, then this whole era is going to open up. Like what? Oh my gosh, so much change and transformation. My gosh, like, just keep believing, keep putting, just, you know what I mean? Like Jen the Alchemist, I believe her name is, Jen Alchemy. She's a healer. And she was talking about that as well, just putting one foot in front of the other. They're like, I know it looks like this, but keep putting one foot in front of the other. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. We keep getting up, we keep trying, and we keep doing, you know what I mean? It's like, you'll come up with ideas, solutions, you know what I mean? Answers, like, you know what I mean? It's just keep going. Just keep going. Keep going forward. This definitely does look like sunlight. But I just feel like, cornucopia season, everybody's getting into mums and pumpkins and Halloween spirit. You know what I mean? It's just like so many things have been calling for this, knocking of this. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's where it's just like, just trusting and believing. Trusting and believing the answers. Even though you don't know, you cannot fathom how it's going to happen. Just trust and believe in it. Asking for strength at this time. And this is something I definitely said as a prayer, because I'm like, I know who this is going to affect. And I'm like, I'm asking them for strength. But I'm also asking for this to turn out, in, with no harm to none, including that person's self. You know what I mean? I don't know about how this works, if it's a choice or not. I definitely feel like with Shane's transformation, he did not want to go at that time as much as he was saying it that summer. You know what I mean? I always drill at my kid's head. I'm like, do not put that out in the universe. Do not let anyone sit there and capture that and try to use it. You know what I mean? It's just, I definitely get a youth energy here, because it's not a full main. But I feel like, when there's, and again, where young ones show up for us, we pour so much into people's cups, into so much into their lives, like, so we should, you know what I mean? But I feel like they are your ray of sunshine. You know what I mean? The infinity symbol, unconditional love, especially giving a rose. You're showing a yellow rose. But I definitely feel like it's like they rise to the occasion. You know what I mean? And I feel like, unfortunately, this is a time that we need to band together. And that's why I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I pray that it turns out for the better. You know what I mean? No harm to none, including himself, Never easy, but, it is what it is, like the situation, but I just hope this changes about. We have judgment, and I love the fact, like, peace, setting free, letting go. Cornfields, you know what I mean? The corn has been definitely, every time you try typing in cornucopia. Maybe your phone will be different. I'm on an Android. So, every time I put that in, it's like a ear of corn is populated. You know what I mean? And it's just like, think about, like, definitely gives like fall, Thanksgiving vibes, especially in Canada, where we celebrate Thanksgiving in October, the second week of October. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's just like that transition, but also like, look how bountiful, like I follow Maya Knight. I'm sure a lot of people do. And it's just like, she was like getting her potatoes, and I love what she does. Cause me and Michael would do this. We would go out into the garden. We're like, what are we gonna have for lunch today? What are we gonna have for dinner today? You know what I mean? And just like pick grocery shopping in your own yard. It is such a beautiful feeling because nothing's promised. You sit there and you plant your garden. You sow the seeds. You know what I mean. You water the garden. You fertilize. You do everything. It's not guaranteed what's going to populate. It's not guaranteed what's going to happen. So it's just like, having faith and trust that, your hard work will pay off in some way or the other. Sometimes some seasons are more bountiful than others. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it is a great feeling. 12-12. So that breaks down to 6. But I would do like 1 + 2, 1 + 2. So 3-3. I know it's 6. But I feel like it's 3-3 where it's like communication with spirit. Because I definitely have been getting really potent messages. She looks so mean right here. Because they can be nasty, Swans? But I feel like it's like covering her cup. You know what I mean? I feel like not allowing people to easily take from your cup. But I feel like it's like we've been getting it all week. It's like you pour into people's cups, and not saying like, don't, like, the biggest mistake you can ever do to yourself is expect people to pour back into your cup the way you pour into theirs. You will always be let down. 1000%. I don't care who it is. You know what I mean? They're going through change. They're going through this. They're going through that. And you know what I mean? Like, words are words. But that's what I'm saying. Watch, you know what I mean? That's why they say only. And this is just my perspective and what I've learned, but it's just like so many times it's just like, that's why, Yahweh, Yeshua, divine creator, Gaia, Mother Earth are always saying, put us first and us first only. Because people will say and do things and you're just like, my gosh. Wheel of Fortune. I love this. I feel like this is protected. I feel like it's like you're moving forward and it's like you feel anxious. So again, remember how Spirit kept on, and this was a lot of private readings that I did, that the August 12th through the 13th, moving through like the 17th period is when this is moving forward. And I feel like this is protected, like your nest, you know what I mean? We're building a nest here, but this is a major message. And I feel like this is things moving forward. I've already seen like knockings of that, some days are good, some days are bad, but it's just like, the efforts that are being made, the routines, the structure, you know what I mean? It's like you're laying down you sowed the seeds, you planted the seeds, you're sowing them. It's like, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan. Who was it that was saying that? It's like a recipe. You have to tweak it. I think it may have been on the trial, that's with the jury right now. I haven't saw all of it. I know they were picking. I don't know if they're with the jury. I just like saw a little snippet of that. But they were saying it's like a recipe. Sometimes you need a little bit more sugar or a little less, a little bit more vanilla, like more to like your tweaking to your liking. They were saying that when it comes to, medications and stuff, or even life, you add a little bit of this, you take away a little that. It's just like, in life, this person, this person's a little too much, so we'll put you a little further back. We're tweaking. We're constantly tweaking and adjusting. So, you know what I mean? I feel like that's what they're saying. Especially that mother of cups energy, where she's like, no, nah, 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 nah. Like you're not taking from my cup. No. You know what I mean? Just too many things have transpired that it's just like no more. I love this. This is ascension. You know what I mean? We keep getting these kind of ascension cards, like leveling up, moving forward. You know what I mean? Stairway to Heaven. They're playing literally. They're playing Metallica as well. But it's like this ascension in you. So this could be like we're literally heading to the full moon literally on tomorrow. So it's just like, you know what I mean? I feel like this is definitely be the waning. So this is heading into that like Labor Day weekend there where it's just like ascension, where it's just like, again, they're saying palpating. I don't know, someone touching something. That's what palpating means. So 1551. I don't know, maybe you need to get something looked at. Palpating. Such a interesting word that means just like, to touch, kind of to investigate. But they're saying like palpating. Just trying to see if there's anything else they want to say. But I feel like in this way where it's like the nine of wands, I feel like it's not so much in the meaning like, you're able to take down your walls a little bit. They're saying like letting the sunshine in. So I feel like, once you get tasks done that you need to get done, or even taking time like during a break to go outside and get some fresh air between tasks, is definitely important. I feel like with myself, especially because it's been, I cannot take the heat. I haven't been able to take the heat since I was in my 20s. It's certain situations, you know what I mean? It just depends. Like, definitely by the water I'm fine with, but when I'm like outside, like roasty toasty, no thank you. Like an hour, I'm good. Ace of Swords, the truth of the situation. I love the infinity symbol. Because this is supposed to be a wreath. Tomorrow's supposed to be thunderstorms. That's so funny. Judgment Day is what they're saying. So maybe that trial will be done by tomorrow. Oh my God. Makes me so nervous. I'm praying on it. All of us pray for that, power of prayer. But victor wearing the wreath. As long as you're on the right side of truth, you will be the victor wearing the wreath. And I feel like rain is cleansing. I feel like lightning, because it's like visually stimulating to a lot of people. I definitely am hearing thunder as well. It will definitely be where it would, like, how it feels like it's shaking your house. Like it's that loud. You know what I mean? If you are supposed to be getting thunderstorms tomorrow. Like rock your world kind of energy. But the innocent. But I feel like this is something where you've always been on the right side of things. So I feel like this is something that has gone again. Like it should have been for you, but it actually went against you. And it's just like everybody knew that, but they don't, because their greed and everything else is blinding them. This is who they always were. It's just like Yahweh, Yeshua, Divine Creator, God, your Mother Earth, we're showing you 1818. They're like, we're showing you who they are. You know what I mean? They're true colors. Funny enough, this is a multicolored, infinity symbol. That green really stands out to me. Heart chakra. Something to be gained here. Knowledge, wisdom, growth to be gained here. We've been getting this Five of Cups constantly. And I love the fact that they're saying, again, with the rain, cleansing. I love the horse. I follow Katie Vansley. Oh my gosh. God bless her. I hope Maggie's good. Again, I haven't been on much on. I woke up with a headache this morning and been busy since. But I feel like this is where Spirit is saying, like, where you're feeling like this cycle, you're going through a season of rain. I've been seeing a lot of that, when it rains, when it rains, it pours. It's not just one thing. It's this, and that's why I'm saying, like, even though this situation isn't perfect, I'm like, you know what? I am grateful that there was actual movement forward. I am grateful that it's positive movement. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's small and minuscule, even if it's baby steps, it's movement in the right direction. And that's why I was like, you know what? I don't care. I am thankful. Like, you know what I mean? Because, I don't even want to put that out there, but it's just like, you know what I mean? I'm grateful that, this situation, much better. This situation, much better. Other things, we'll see what happens there. Like, I'm asking for strength. Literally, we got the strength card. Maybe this is you asking your little ones for help. You know what I mean? Never overlook them, because it's like they are stronger than you think. You've poured so much into their cup. It's like, hey, you know what I mean? Oh my god. Isn't that funny where she's covering the cup and that what's going on in court where it's like the tumbler? And it's like, yeah, no. Like, sorry. That's like been living in my head rent free. Three of Swords, I love this because it's just like, you shall not pass. That's so funny. It's just like, no. I feel like if you did a binding ceremony, funny enough, me and my girlfriend were talking about this. A binding ceremony. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about binding ceremonies and all that stuff. I do kitchen magic. I do those. You know what I mean? It's very Passover energies where you put the cider, I'm going to probably say that wrong, played out. And it's just like, doing the ceremony very much reminds me of that. Like, offerings is definitely something that resonates with us as well. But that's what I feel like. It's like this, no more. I feel like this is spirit. Because it's red, I feel like root chakra. I know this kind of looks like something else. But I feel like this is like bearing it, and that's that. You know what I mean? Funny enough, there was a post about that yesterday. They were like, emotions sometimes live with us for a time period, and then it's time to let it go. That's what this reminds me of. That is immediately what came to my head just now. It's like, remember we were talking about that? I'm like, yes, I do. And I feel like, for us, it's coming on 10 years since, Shane's transformation. Thank God I'm starting to dream about him again because I haven't heard him in a bit. And I'm just like, dude, what is going on? You know what I mean? My dad has been very potent. Maybe because I said, like, no offense, he's been on Transform for longer than you. I don't know. I don't know too much about how that works on that side, just what I've experienced. But you know what I mean? I feel like, I don't feel like I feel like it won't, I don't know. Because even with my dad, it's just like years have gone by and it's just like, sometimes it just, when you see that that daughter father relationship or, thinking about funny things, or I see Nancy Grace and I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? It's just like certain things. I know he definitely would be about the trial right now because he was definitely a fighter for, those that are, in vulnerable situations, but so crazy. But that's what I feel like they're saying here. It's just like something is being binded that has, I don't feel like torment. They're using the word tormented you. You know what I mean? Maybe it has. Like, everyone's experience is different, but I feel like it's just like, for me, it's feeling guilty about certain situations. You know what I mean? Even though I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's just like, when you love somebody, it's like, how do you tell your heart, like, that's how I know love lasts forever, because it's just like, no matter how much time has gone past, I feel like it just deepens the bond. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, some people just go on with their lives and that's them. That's who they are. That's their truth. But me, it's like, who is that? It was like, not to, it's Chris Brown, but he's like, if I tell you I love you, he's like, I love you. Like, just said like a jokey way, not like, you know what I mean? But it's just like in that way, like, you know what I mean? It's like, not taking that word lightly, those emotions lightly. That's what I was saying. Like, when they're saying like, recalibrating or who you're letting into your circle or who you're giving your energy to, it's just like, we're not the same people we used to be. You know what I mean? I definitely was a social butterfly. I love being around people. I love, gift of gab and all that funny, readings definitely that comes in handy and my job. But it's just like, you know, I feel like definitely transition. Definitely with going back to that, to the magician. This is a transition here. This is definitely moving forward. Something you've been waiting for. I love the Four of Swords. Again, crown chakra opening up. And I wonder if that's why that happened. Is because, you know what I mean? And I wish wasn't the case. You know what I mean? It's like, why do we have to go through that to bring us to spirituality? You know what I mean? Like, ugh. But I love that Protector of the Lamb. I know it looks more sinister than it really is, but I feel like Protector of the Lamb. I feel like if you touch it, it'll if you watched Wednesday season 2 when Eden was captured and the ceiling was coming down, she had to figure out what the passcode or answer was. The Invisible Man. Oh no, it was no Eden's the other one. Oh my gosh, I always mix up her name. But, A very good series. Love it. Can't wait for season 3. But that's why I'm saying it's. I just feel like rest and rejuvenation. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where it's like that's where the silver lining is with everything, right? It's just like I said, spring and summer have been really chaotic and crazy, and you know, in a great way because it keeps us busy, but you know, and it does other things. But ay ay ay, what a roller coaster ride. But you know, I'll be definitely looking very much forward to freaking Pluto, and I love Pluto. Pluto is one of my favorite planets. I even though I know some people are saying it's a star, always be a planet to me. You know what I mean? I feel like that going direct is going to alleviate a lot of the energies, and I feel like that's where it's just like, do not feel guilty this winter if you sleep the whole thing through. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's what you need, and I feel like that's the thing. It's like go 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 go. That's what that season is for. In comfy clothes, watching your favorite shows, eating good food, and just sleeping, recuperating. You know what I mean? So, you know, definitely do not feel guilty this winter because you definitely earned it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick card pull. May the universe bless you good. Have a blessed, happy, safe, restful weekend. We'll see you for the next quick card pull.